Merry Christmas, everybody. I'm Tom Vassell, and welcome to the 12 Games of Christmas here on the Dice Tower. 12 Games of Christmas is a series of 10 videos that we're putting out this week, which are kind of a Christmas shopping guide for you to hopefully find games that would be good ones to give to other people for Christmas. Today, we're talking about Thematic Games. And speaking of theming, I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Above Board TV. They do a lot of thematic stuff on their channel in a sense of they are constantly trying to theme board games with what they're doing. Do they play a game about volcanoes? They play it on a live volcano. Do they play a game about sharks? They play it underwater near sharks. Or are they playing a game about bees? Well, they're playing that game while covered in bees. Now that video, the one that they're covered in bees, is linked in the description to this video. You should go watch it because if you comment on it, you can win a prize. 10 lucky winners are going to get a $50 game of your choice or less sent to you from Amazon to the continental US. And one extremely lucky winner is going to get an all expenses flight to LA for 3 days and 2 nights to game with the Above Board TV and play on one of their videos. So check out their channel, enter the contest, and I hope you win. Thematic games. These are games that have a strong theme, an interesting theme, something different. These are the kind of games that some people love. Some people do not care one whit if a game has theme or not, but there are a lot of people where that is a very important factor. So we have 12 games for you here where theme matters.
As I start this list, I want to clarify that not every thematic game has to be huge and giant and epic and full of miniatures. But this first one sure is. This is Primal: The Awakening. This is the biggest single game, not only on this list, but any of the lists that we're recommending. This is an awesome, epic monster fighting, monster hunting game. Cooperative, you are able to play as a giant campaign, or you can fight against any monster in this box at any level. Make the monster harder, but level up your own characters. Customize your characters in really fun and enjoyable ways. This is one I love playing one-off scenarios. So if you have too many campaigns, but you want that thematic epic experience, this is one you can play as one-shots. Don't have a campaign but want one? This is such a solid one. A lot of fun, great cooperative play, a lot going on in this one, and the priciest price tag of them all, but one that I think is so good, so I'm recommending Primal: The Awakening.
Heroscape is back. I'm putting Heroscape on this list for the first time in many years because the Renegade has pre-produced the 20th anniversary edition of Heroscape. Maybe you played this when you were a kid or a long time ago, in which you had different figures, stuff from the future, against stuff from the past, against stuff from the fantastical. It's a miniatures game, but it's all in one box. Renegade sells painted versions or an unpainted version if you want to paint it yourself. And the terrain is fun and builds almost kind of like Lego, where you're all snapping it together. Each side builds an army, and then you fight back and forth over one of many different missions that are in the book. Renegade is constantly putting out new stuff for this. I just talked about the second wave. More waves are on the way, and it's backwards compatible if you have the Heroscape from 2004. This would be great for a bunch of teenagers who want to just mess with a miniatures game, but not, want to spend too much money on it. And it's just a lot of fun back and forth, just to build terrain and then fight a battle through time and space on this terrain. It's a lot of fun, looks neat set up. It's just very enjoyable. Heroscape.
Okay, so next for our thematic game is a game that drips theme, and that is Rock Hard 1977. And how thematic is this? This game was designed by Jackie Fox of The Runaways. The whole thing is you're an up-and-coming musician, and you're trying to kind of get your career off the ground. So the whole thing is you're going to have to start playing small gigs, and you're going to start working your way up to big arenas. But in the meantime, you have to make money. You have to make a living. You've got to go ahead and do interviews, up your reputation. You have to write songs. You've got to balance all this while at the beginning, you have a part-time job. So you can't do certain things at night because you have your job at night, you have your job in the morning, and it goes back and forth, and eventually you can start missing some work if you can make up money other ways. But if you miss too much, you're going to get fired, but you can quit your job anyway if you're a big enough rock star to continue. It's so good. And that's why I'm going to the whole candy that gives you extra actions to do to have your day extend longer. This is a really fun game, and this is a really cool peek into the view of becoming that rock star that I could ever be because I can't play any instrument. or hold the tune, or really do anything with music. But anyway, I love this game. This is Rock Hard 1977.
Next up, we have Fateforge, Chronicles of Khan. This is a cooperative, story-driven dungeon crawl type game that bridges the gap between role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons or the role-playing game that this is based upon, Fateforge, and melds them with some board game mechanisms to create this very narrative, combat-faced game where you also have a huge puzzle element to it. So you're going to be progressing through a story, a lengthy story, and at different points of the story, you are going to be facing off in these combat encounters. And by doing this, you're going to set up maps that have different rooms, maybe some different traps or treasures, things along those lines, a series of different enemies. But instead of just randomly rolling dice and hoping you hit something, there's much more of a puzzle element where the dice are going to be used to trigger certain cards you have, whether they're weapons or items, things along those lines. This game uses an app to help guide you through the story so you don't need a game master like most role-playing type games do. So if you have people on your list that like role-playing games and like board games, this is certainly something that they should take a look at. If they like cooperative games, this is something they can take a look at. So this has a pretty wide appeal and it's a beautiful looking game to boot. That is Fateforge, Chronicles of Khan.
The Seventh Citadel is a sequel to The Seventh Continent. The Seventh Citadel is a big story game, which you can play solo or with other people. I've done both. And in this game, you are in this prison in a futuristic, basically weird fantasy world. There's giant worms coming up and attacking things, but it's not quite like Doom. There's all kinds of weird plants and other things out there too. And you're just going out and completing missions while building up a city around this broken prison that you've escaped out of. The game starts off with a bang, and then it has a missions, and this is almost like a sandbox game because as you're going out and doing these missions, you can just go explore anywhere you want to and find out what happens. You can get sidetracked on side quests. There's all sorts of interesting things. It is a game that is a very long game, but broken up into small chunks, and all with a very clever card system that not only plays as a map, but also is an interesting way for you to fight and solve other problems that you're going to come across. Very interesting, very strong theme. Definitely check out The Seventh Citadel.
Next up on Thematic Games is Video Game Champion. And this is such a fun game for people that were kids in the 80s and 90s and enjoyed video games. They had their NES and their Super NES, and they always wanted to get, the new hot games. So in this, you're thematically a kid in those eras. But the problem is because you're a kid, you are like super broke. So you want to rent all the new games and play all the new hot stuff. You want to win the really hard games. But you need to have access to them. And the way to get access to them is by doing chores and visiting grandma and getting IOUs from your parents. And so I love that it's a great mashup of good mechanics, good action selection, a little bit of like puzzly stuff going on, but mostly it is just fun theme of getting those games and playing them. So if this sounds interesting to you, check it out.
The next game on our list is Santa's Workshop. Now, Santa's Workshop is a reprint of Rio Grande's 2013 worker placement title, but now with the great art and production of Elk Creek Games, which is known for high production value. New Andrew Bosley art, textured and shiny cardboard. In general, this is a beautiful production. Place your elves on the board to make presents, collect and exchange resources, upgrade your elves, get blueprints, decorate the Christmas tree, build toys, and get reindeer for special abilities. Coal is a common resource, and players start with a bag full of it they need to refill periodically. I guess there's a lot of really terrible children out there. Santa's Workshop comes with an advanced and basic game in the box, making it more approachable for younger kids. And if they really are terrible, you can just take the coal out of the game and put it in their stockings, and that's what they get this year. That's what you do with terrible kids. Yeah.
Next up, we have Tidal Blades 2, which, from its name, should tell you that it's a sequel to an earlier game called Tidal Blades. However, the two games are very different. The one thing they do share in common is this really interesting, immersive world that they've built, this aquatic-based world. In Tidal Blades 2, you're going to be primarily playing cards to trigger different actions out on some type of a arena or board state that is handled on two spiral-bound books. And so you're going to be told what the setup is, you're going to go to certain pages, you're going to have some type of a playing area in front of you, you're going to have certain enemies or challenges that you have to face, and you, as your character, your friends, it's a cooperative game around the table with their characters, are going to be fighting together to complete these different scenarios. This is a 40-hour plus campaign with gorgeous visuals and a very immersive story. So if that sounds appealing to someone on your list, definitely check out Tidal Blades 2.
Nexus Ops is an oldie but a goodie that was just reprinted. In this one, you represent some grunts sent into an alien planet by a mining corporation. And when you get there, you find out other corporations had the same idea, so you're going to have to go mano a mano with these other guys, trying to mine resources from the planet, use the native alien species to attack each other, and ideally control the monolith, this central spot on the map, which is going to give you some rewards. This is a game that the objective is very simple. Get a certain number of victory points, 10 or 12, and the way you do that is by attacking. So it is certainly not a game for turtling. It is not a game in which you are going to be sitting there and waiting to build up. You get out there, you attack, and you come home the victor. That is Nexus Ops.
Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth is a variation of Seven Wonders Duel, with one player taking on the role of the Fellowship and one playing as the Dark Lord Sauron. Cards are available in a pyramid structure, and taking turns, players select one card from the display and either play it or sell it for money. Some cards give resources, some cost resources to obtain. New cards control armies on a territory map and advance a clever ring track, with the Fellowship moving the ring to Mount Doom and the Shadow moving Nazgul towards Frodo. Players can win by taking over the map, by moving the ring track, by assembling all of the races, or simply by holding a majority of the territory when the cards run out. There may not be 5 golden rings, but this game allows one ring to rule them all.
Next up in our thematic category is Sleeping Gods Distant Skies. So this is the sequel to Ryan Laukatt's or Red Raven Games' Sleeping Gods. In this one, you're in an airplane and you travel through a portal into a new land. You're going through the land, you're meeting new people, you are going on different adventures and quests, trying to look for these lost relics, but ultimately you just want to get home. This is a huge epic adventure that you go through, multiple hour kind of campaign system that really immerses you in this world that feels enough like ours to where it's comfortable, but also just mysterious and different enough that you get sucked in and just keep wanting to know more. So if you know somebody that really likes those deep, immersive campaign games with open exploration and questing, check out Sleeping Gods Distant Skies.
The search for UAPs, which stands for Identified Anomalous Phenomena, is the third in a trilogy which started for the search for Planet X. This is a pure deduction game, but it has an interesting theme. You are out there looking for, well, aliens in essence. And what this game does is each person has the sky, has a different map of the sky, and you are going to be playing through this with other players and finding out clues and slowly trying to figure out what the rules of finding the UAP are. Once you figure out these rules and once you figure out where it's located, you win the game. So yes, this is a game of pure logic, but that idea of finding an alien is going to be a lot of fun. The original one, The Search for Planet X, was finding this mysterious planet out there. Now we're trying to find some weird aliens. And working not sort of with everybody else, but you want to be the first one to do so. Very simple theme, but I think it adds a lot to a game that also has a lot of good logic in it, The Search for UAPs. And that's it for Thematic Games, folks. Hopefully this helps you. We talked about some giant games, some smaller games, games that are just chock full of cool themes, all different sorts of things. Hopefully You can find these games. We try when we're making these lists to pick games that are in print, or you can pre-order them and they'll come out by Christmas. We look on websites. We look all over the place. So hopefully you can find them in time to get them before Christmas. We want to say thank you to our sponsors, Above Board TV. We want to say thank you to y'all for watching. And guess what? There are 8 more of these lists. Did you miss the one about solo games or 2-player games or games for kids? Check them out. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and this is the 12 Games of Christmas. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.
Children are awful.